So today's video is about innocence and fragility and the power in fragility. So, of course, as always, I'm speaking from experience, and I'm looking at my notes on my computer, by the way. So, innocence. We view that as something that needs protection, and fragility, we view that as something that is very vulnerable and breakable. But what if fragility and innocence is your greatest power? There's a light that is created by being very open. The way that someone who is fragile is broken repeatedly or a lot, or whatever you want to look at that, however you want to look at that, that is them cracking open and letting the light in deeper and more beautifully than being closed. The light that you give is equal to the light that you can receive. And you can't receive light when you are existing as closed. Fragility needs to be celebrated. Vulnerability, openness, innocence is truth and power. That's what innocence really is. It's truth. Because in the highest perspective, innocence is within everything and all things. It's to go beyond duality, to let go of good and bad. Because even if you zoom in and you look at the bad, the worst of the worst things that humanity does, and you keep following the train of why did that happen, why did they do this, why did they do this, what did that get them, and you keep asking, it's always coming back to, I wanted to be safe, or I wanted to be loved. It's this core wound of feeling separate from love. That is the essence of the worst of humanity and the most horrific of demonic entities, your worst nightmares. It is a painful separation from love. And the way that they go about trying to close that gap is usually just because they don't know any other way. The pain is so great and they haven't been shown love. If they could get love, or they could do things in a loving way, then they would. Because when you do something that is not loving, you harm yourself, no matter what being you are. And that is counterintuitive to what we exist as. We love. We love. So there is a great power in recognizing innocence. It goes beyond mind and into heart and higher perspective. And it is a tall order. It is beyond ego. It's something that many people will find challenging. People don't like it when you say that the murderer is innocent. You know, that there's something innocent and beautiful still within that person. But our ability to see that innocence is what is going to heal. It's the birthplace of compassion. And our world won't get better if we don't be compassionate. And we don't go beyond what our mind says of rejection of good and bad. Gotta go beyond it. Because there is so much love. And there are people that need love and they don't know how to get it. And when you realize that those horrible people are you as well, we are all of the same life force energy. When you tangibly know that, you can't hate the murderer. You can hate what they did. None of this means approval or condoning of what they did or didn't do relative to anything. You don't have to approve of or agree with the ways that this being or person is coping with being and feeling so separate from love. And you can probably hear in my voice a little that, my voice is shaking a little bit because it kind of like hurts my heart the way that, when I see or feel things that are so lost And what hurts even more is the warring against these other fragments of ourselves, the murderers, the demons, all of them. Because I know it so strongly that love is what is needed. Compassion and love is what I had to give myself when I had done bad things. Being an adult, being a child, being an aggressive murderer, being a person who accidentally lied to a friend, it's all the same. It is, and I know that part of you probably wants to reject that, especially if you have trauma or relationship to these concepts, personal experience. This is a higher perspective. It's where we're headed, and it's what I believe. And so I had to see my own innocence, like I had to see it within myself. And when I saw it within me, I couldn't not see it in anyone else. And of course, it's a practice. We still fall into mind and we fall back into judgment, basically. The refusal to understand. It's more comfortable to simply judge and to be in duality and to say this is good and this is bad and that is the end. But you can't be like that and love yourself. You're good and bad. You're both. And in seeing that and owning that and following into your own badness, you will see an innocence. And then you see that you're not good or bad. You just are. And that there's beauty and love in that. In the worst parts of you. The worst parts of us. So, back to fragility for a minute. I wanted to say how I often want to protect my innocent self. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. I want to keep her safe and make sure no one ever hurts her. But in doing so, I actually am going against my very nature. And I feel this powerfully, particularly because I'm a sensitive person and my particular soul. But it's true for all of us. We are beings of openness, of softness and love. So, for me, becoming closed was very against my nature. And when I asked my innocence to remain within, I couldn't spread the wings of my compassion and enwrap them upon all the cruelty within myself or around within this earth. I restrict a huge aspect of myself. And I have seen great darkness in this world. And every time it comes up within me, the remnants, the effects of it, of the ways that I've been hurt, I do cry and my heart breaks and it hurts every time. And there were periods where I felt like so hurt that I couldn't breathe and I wouldn't open and I could not and did not trust anybody. And human trust is still something that's developing within me, within parts of me. Some parts of me are on this compassion train and other parts of me are developing, and that's what we're like. That's being human. But overarching all the distrust that I had was always the return, the willingness to try again. And a willingness like that, that's courage. A fragile person learns how truly courageous they are and that they can be. You learn courage and it's beautiful. A fragile person is courage. Softness and openness are the energies of renewal. For that reason, they touch and reach the deepest, darkest hearts. Renewal is a force in this world, in this universe, that can't be evaded. Because light is a force that cannot be truly evaded. It returns again and again and again because it can never not be. It never left. It's just about where you are or whoever is relative to light. And this realization, this softness and openness and renewal is what the world needs. And it's why I came here, to renew us and return us to our innocence, the same way I had to do it within myself, again and again and again, and probably more. Even though I am fragile, I'm not actually breakable. Every time I break is actually just an opening for light. That's what being fragile means. Letting the light in more and more than you ever would have if you didn't let yourself break or open. Fragility is openness, and it's the energy that transforms because it lets the light in. And light without restriction, without condition like this, creates miracles. If you are fragile, you are light without restriction and without condition, and you facilitate miracles.